You did it.
Starting a con, yeah, like I mean, you can do.
That
What I would suggest is maybe like a
depends
meetup.
on like if you're like it depends on what level of investment you're doing it at. Like it probably won't be a con the first year,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, it's more just like a meetup that meets
Well, I mean,
once.
yeah, right, exactly.
Just more like a really open, food-filled gaming night.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, it's just like 3 people at my house.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So I don't remember. I don't remember what turn we're on.
I just finished my turn. It's
Oh,
That's probably mine.
yeah. And welcome
Cool.
back, Will. I have to fix the cameras.
oh, he's got again. No.
Well, can't fix the cameras.
I got neutral. Making it.
I feel like half the time we played today has just been resolving technical difficulties.
Yeah,
This game is super interesting, though.
yeah, I like it.
Like,
I mean, I wouldn't want to play it on Tabletop Simulator again, but I like it. I feel like when it gets back, I would rather just can the game and just talk about it at this point.
I'm all right with that.
If you want to do that, that's fine.
Because it's 10 o'clock my side, and the next break would be in a half hour. And it's like I don't want to play for another half hour and take another break and stuff. Let's just do this.
Good. That gives me license to
License to
levitate.
juggle.
I can't get enough of that. It's like driving me.
I know. Why isn't that just a game in and of itself? It's like clicking things to make sure they don't fall down. It's like a juggling game.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ, why isn't that a game? That has to be a game. Like, that has to be a game on a touchpad. You know, like for like an iPad game, like things are falling and you have to like touch them and they bounce and you have to keep them from bouncing or like from hitting the ground. Is that not a game already? Is that not already? Did I just come up with like $1 million idea and just broadcasted it live so someone could steal it?
Yeah, probably. You're screwed.
No, like that has to exist. You know, like a beach ball game. You know, like you can't let it hit the ground. Like the floor is lava, so you have to like just keep pressing on your screen to like make sure it never hits the ground. And maybe there's like multiple ones. No,
No, that's almost certainly a thing. Yeah.
that has to be like a genre of game. If it's not, well, I know what I'm gonna do for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look how to download the Apple SDK and start making some James. What'd you do, Dark Lavender?
No, I'm just playing with the dice again, but then I learned you can press E and then they just wiggle. Like
Oh my god, they're synchronized. Yeah. That's fun.
I wonder if you can take stones and juggle those as well. Stones, stones, stones.
I don't live in a glass house. Woo! Let's play shuffleboard. Let's play shuffleboard on the eastern seaboard, and wherever you land is where you have to live. Oh shit! I live in see you guys in Arkansas. Oops. Oh boy,
I'm Kansas.
I'm in the I'm in the ocean.
I'm pretty sure that it was
Okay.
Arkansas as opposed to Kansas.
You put the sass in Kansas? Hey.
Sorry, guys.
No problem. So I'm glad you're back because I think we're gonna wrap up, but we're gonna talk about the game. If that's cool
Sure,
with you.
let's talk about it. Yeah, that's fine.
So, I think the setup needs more, or less But this whole like going on a trail and coming and answering the cards and having someone else like complicate them is genius.
Mm-hmm.
Like the actual game part, it's fun.
I definitely
I just really enjoyed that.
But
part.
it just seemed, and I mean, and the fact that there's the 4.
The idea is like I've talked to people who really hate making character generation. Oh shit, my connection's bad.
Yeah, you're good enough. You're juggling the stones. So, they hate making characters. I think having the 4 stats of having the health, the wealth, the social, and the strange, I find that was really helpful for me when it came to coming up with complications. Because I knew that you had to remove something from one of those, so I could think of problems that forced you to kind of resolve a thing in a particular direction, which is how I came up with someone being sick, because I saw you had health tokens. I was thinking about the money thing, and then I came up with, I just started with like, let's make a social problem, right? Or I was trying to come up with a problem that would be like, you can answer in several ways, but then I realized you can just target something, kind of, or intend to target something. So that's really good. I really like having those 4 ideas. But something that didn't really work for me is the NPCs. Like, they don't do anything, especially because you don't like you don't return to the location, and they don't really follow you. That could be tampered with.
Yeah, I think saying they have to be part of the caravan is better.
Yeah, you don't flesh out anyone in your family. So that would be a good part to start acting out something in your family. I'm sorry if it sounds like... I want to say that, no, like the core game part is really fun, right? Like I don't want it to sound like I'm being unbalanced and just talking about the negative parts. I can't, like... I'm telling you, like the core actual like going across the United States, like bit by that, answering a question is fun.
I totally agree.
I'm really enjoying that part.
I actually enjoyed like drawing our families.
Yeah, me too.
Even though it doesn't really flesh out your family very much, but like getting to draw them and getting to know them based on what you sketch is pretty cool. And I also like the idea of when you do a thing and you take you spend some of whatever your stat is, that you have to write down what happened and keep a track of that. I like that as well. Trying to track the time with little dots, since there's no point where you can have a turn where you don't progress a time, unless there is, and we didn't encounter it. It seems to make more sense to just like have like at the beginning of each round a marker that is universal.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot less bulky, I think.
Yeah.
A lot less to keep track of.
Because you're thinking of, I'm sorry to interrupt you, is just to espouse that, because it's a timer track that everyone has to keep track of. So instead of 4 people keeping track of the same thing, it's on the main board, because it's something that everyone has to look over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely an improvement.
And
you can kind of see like what it grew out of, right?
Yeah.
Because
totally.
it grew out of like a single player game where I'm just playing with one person. This is the first time I've had a chance to play with more than one person, and I think it went it went surprisingly well.
Yeah, this was the first time. Wow, this was really good. This felt like, this is pretty much kind of near complete. Just gotta get to tweak around some stuff, but like the actual game works. Like it flies. Like you're playing flies. Like congratulations, and it's fun, right? Like the game plays and it's fun. Now you just gotta like refine it, which is, I mean, I don't want to say like that's now the easy part. That's like the hardest. That's probably the hardest part, but like the core part's good, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't emphasize how like if I was designing a game, how relieved I would be.
Refining it is that I've had to strip out so much of what I wanted to put in. So yeah, go ahead, Adam.
A thing I wanted to add is because I played Stormed. Are you familiar? Are any of you familiar with that term? Okay, so playstorming is
Are you a wizard?
A mixture of no. It's a mixture of playtesting and brainstorming. so you're kind of like playtesting, but like kind of figuring out what you want as we go along. We're kind of doing, like Kelsa and Golden Age and I are doing a little bit of this when we're playtesting Household Renovation.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did in like this playstorming game is I really wanted the like vivid landscapes, and the game as a whole was like mediocre, sort of successful. But one of the best parts that I found when I was playstorming this game is if you have a system where you have a list of qualities about the landscape. I mean, I don't know if you're interested in like landscape porn as much as I am, but you know, like if you have a list like temperature, terrain, and like presence of civilization, and like a list of things like that, and whenever you move a location, you have to change a couple of them.
Oh.
It creates really vivid landscapes.
Oh shit. Yeah, you know what you just described? Like, think of it in terms of Apocalypse World tags.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
So
Right.
as far as this game goes, like another thing I really liked was like the cards you draw when you are like that progress is boring and that you draw a card when you get stuck at a place. I really like that, and I really like that kind of phrasing of it.
Yeah.
But I also really enjoyed the fact that there were cards, and the idea of trying to make something up off the cuff completely every single time that happens would have been just really, really daunting. And so having those cards there is super helpful.
Yeah, I love that too.
Can I...
Like a stack of cards for consequences when you roll over on one of your tracks would also be really helpful. I know you were talking about having a lot more cards, and I don't know if that was already planned or not, but like this would be like wealth consequence cards, and this would be something like that.
You made me think of something, Kelsa.
Mm-hmm.
You made me think of this when I forget right before you spoke about cards, but connecting your family and your stats, a symbol, a physical symbol, a physical representation of that sort of stuff, sort of like what your resources might be, what it is, but like connecting your heart, your wealth, your strange and your social to like physical items or people in your family that represent this. Maybe like something like that is a good idea.
Also,
specifically writing out the connection to the symbol. So when you're playing a game and you lose something, it's really easy to think, oh, I'm losing this connection to wealth. So what does that look like? Oh, well, I mean, my wealth is tied to my giant bundle of gold. So it's probably something happens to the gold.
Also,
I should
like
give
a
you guys
play
a
out,
speech
like Downfall, what Downfall does with symbols.
Idea was that. So when I first started playing this game, there were no cards, right? Which meant that each encounter targeted a specific family member. When I made them cards, I no longer can target a specific family member because I don't know. Do you have a daughter? Do you have a son? Is there even any males in your family or any females in your family? I can't do that with cards.
No. But Kelsa's right. Targeting the stats, though. Attacking something that everyone has, which is health, wealth, social, and strength.
The choice is yours which stat to spend, right?
True, but that doesn't mean that you can't. It's the choice is mine on how I solve the problem, but you can still phrase a problem in a way. Like, for example, the problem that you solved with social about the mayor, like you could have solved it with health, or you could have you could pay them off. You paid them with wealth, like you could be. It doesn't stop you from being a player and being creative.
Right. Yeah, totally.
You're right, though. It could be constraining. It could feel constrained.
If I tie the characters to the stats, then it kind of becomes less of a choice, I think. That's the problem. The other thing is that you're only supposed to, it's a role-playing game at the end, right? So you're only supposed to pick one of the characters to play. And, it's up to you to be like, okay, if the situation targets this character, does that make the character someone I'm more likely to play? Like, how would a character I want to play handle the situation? And if I don't, figured that if I left out like that targeting, then players would have more freedom at the end to say, well, I said this happened to my sister at the time, but I really want in my backstory, so I'm gonna steal that, and we're gonna retcon it a little bit. I'm not sure if I like that or not, though.
I'm trying to think of what it'd be like for a new player, like someone new stuff.
And like I guess like I like the idea of the NPCs and the character map, but I feel like we didn't get to the part where that becomes important, and so it felt really strenuous.
Yeah, it definitely is like extraneous during the game. Maybe I would just have you come up with NPCs and not do any dice rolling, but it seemed like the dice rolling step was so much shorter. But like, what you're doing in the game by creating that relationship map is so helpful when you actually sit down to play a game, because then not only does the GM have a list of things that they can go to when they need a character, but also you as a player can point to like situations you had during this game and say, I want to do more of that in our session tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely extraneous to the game. I'm using the game like as an excuse to do it and make what would be a chore like easy in the flow of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm hoping anyhow.
Okay. Have you considered? Sorry.
I was gonna say also
Let us draw on the map.
I mean that could be fun. I mean, in Tabletop Simulator, it may be very difficult to make that work very well, but the way the stats are, is kind of confusing. I don't know, like it was for me, and maybe that's just for me. Like the like if you want to get a superpower, you have to fill up your strange track, so you want your track to be small. Was kind of weird because having a superpower doesn't help you during this to get to Oregon, but having a superpower is pretty cool, and I wanted to do it. So I mean, there's that part of it that was kind of weird, and let's see, what was the other thing I was thinking about with this? Like,
the heck happened to Adam?
I don't know. All your lights went out.
He might have lost power.
No.
That would actually make sense. Yeah.
Well, he's frozen, I guess.
Yeah. Now he's Ghost Adam. Now he's Void.
Well, that explains everything. Yes. It's like Fall of Magic, only darker. No, he's darker, okay. Well, I'm trying to read too many things at the same time. Oh gosh, reading is hard, guys. Yep, he lost connection.
Because have you ever played Wild Talents or the Caballeros Club or any of the generic superpower fate games?
Not really.
No.
Okay.
I
think if you were, you would kind of see, like, it would make more sense. I think it would make more sense if we sat down to, actually play a role-playing game, like why it's like that. Like, the short tracks represent like stress in the fate system. You get, once they're filled up, you take a consequence. So having a shorter track means you take more consequences. So that's what that's supposed to be representing.
Well, then are we not friends on Steam?
I had to close Steam because it decided to download everything, and
Oh, okay. Well, never mind then.
I'll check later.
I think we are. I think we have to be.
I think we are because
I was just reloading the game since Adam dropped in. So.
So.
Oh wow, you fixed the cam. This is beautiful.
Thank you. So. Yeah. When do we get to play the next iteration, man?
I feel like I could strip out more of the role-playing stuff, and it would definitely be a better standalone game for it.
I think asking the questions about I don't know. I think asking like pointed questions is good. Sorry, I have to fix my light. It's annoying me.
Yeah.
I don't know why my camera turned all yellow. I have to get like a new camera driver. I don't know. So.
Mm.
Well, see, my targeted feedback, I would have asked for Canadian soy sauce. It's like, are any of these characters you'd like to play? Or is the place where you ended the caravan, like, are you now incentivized to want to know what happens to these characters, and if they ever get to Oregon? We didn't really play the game far enough for me to ask those questions.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of that was Tabletop Simulator's fault, but
yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I've played Tabletop Sim for like 6 hours without a problem, with me as host, and tonight it was like, oh, I can screw up in an entirely new way.
Yeah, I know, right?
And I was pushing it to its limits, like,
yeah,
but still.
All right.
Yeah, I definitely want to take you guys' suggestions into account. I'm gonna like watch that part of the VOD again. I think if I found a way to target characters without knowing who those characters were, that would be a major breakthrough.
I mean, what if it was just
what if instead of like complicating the situation, it was just the other player's job to pick a character that the situation targeted? Then I could write.
Oh.
Yeah, that would
situation. The person to your left picks the character. Person to your left picks the character, and person to the right makes the problem. Something like that.
Makes the complication.
Yeah, yeah.
Something like that.
Did you guys like the complicating the cards aspect?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I like having like really generic cards.
And
and then you can add a complication on that makes it more specifically target the family.
And it forces players to listen when it's not their turn.
Oh yeah, definitely that too.
Maybe with because the complications thing was a new idea, because I had such generic cards, so I was like, let's try this out. So I'm really surprised that you guys are so positive towards that.
Yeah.
Maybe with the complications.
Well, we're also story game nerds, though, right? Like, of course we love open-ended prompt questions. Like, of course. So, like, we're all about that, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
So you might want to play with someone of different likes, you know? Not good or bad. It's just we have a bias here on Once Upon a Game.
I don't know why you think that.
Oh, no. Impartiality all the way.
But maybe with that more focused player, like the other player, like focusing in on the situation, maybe I don't need the extra complication for when your track fills up.
I can see that.
I have to think about it. Like, I really want to teach how damage works in Fate, but if it's really that counterintuitive, then maybe I should go.
Well, I mean, it was partly just because getting a superpower sounds like a good thing, and so if you get a superpower by damaging your strange, that was what was counterintuitive to me.
Well, but, like, think of it this way: if you're in Blades in the Dark and you're trying to get some superpowers, don't you want a smaller clock?
That's true. Yeah. But if I guess at first it didn't seem like it was a clock or a damage track so much as it seemed like a statistic, like higher number is better kind of a thing. And a higher number is better because you're less likely to fill it up and you're less likely to get that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
you're able.
But
I think that
it starts to cascade, and not so. Yeah.
I think there needs to be more consequences for the other two stats when they fill up, because if your health fills up, your character dies, and if your strange fills up, you get superpower.
Like you're always going to solve things with strange, then, like starting off, right?
Like if you can ever solve something with strange, you will.
Yeah, like the incentive to do something isn't the same across all stats, right? Which is why I like. Sorry, go ahead.
Using a superpower and using a normal skill to accomplish something, it actually doesn't matter in the super systems I'm stealing from. Like you could equally solve a problem with lockpicking and super strength if you're rolling the same amount of dice, the same modifiers, which is what would have happened.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you fill up your health track, a character dies, and that's a very negative consequence.
Mm-hmm.
If you fill up your wealth track, you get an extra side event and nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
If you fill up your social track, you get an extra side event and nothing else. If you fill up your weird track, then you get a superpower that doesn't really help you in any way. It's just flavor. So really, the only track that has any lasting consequence at all is the health track, which
would be filled up last because you don't want your characters to die.
But then you notice that I didn't say you had this exact number of characters, right?
But
it actually doesn't matter anymore.
But as a player, you're not going to want to see your characters die like that, right?
On the playtest I played, people were totally willing to kill their characters. They usually waited until they saw what happens if they didn't, because
that's possible.
Then the other stress tracks explode on each other.
Okay.
And then you have 5 or 6 events at the same time, and it gets messy. So they didn't want to do that. So they would either focus all in on one track, or they would deliberately trigger events so that they can control when the explosion happened.
Well, yeah, I guess what I was trying to say is I feel like there should be some other types of lasting consequences.
I agree. With wealth, originally you lost a resource, and with social, you would get expelled from the caravan. So, but that only is important once. You can't get expelled from the caravan 3 or 4 times. So I dropped that. I guess I need some other social Oh, maybe I could tie that into the NPCs more. I'll have to think about that. But yeah.
Yeah, and if your characters die, eventually you either have to never put into health again or risk losing your last character or just be out of the game.
Which, I mean, it's pretty much always going to be your choice for that to happen. I mean, then you have that option to create a character whose entire family died.
All right. Any last comments or anything before we wrap it up?
Weird.
Yeah, this was fun. Dude, we've got to play the game tonight.
So positive towards it. I'm definitely going to go back and look at all those cards and see how I can make them more individually focused again.
Okay.
We didn't really get to see... We didn't advance the strangeness counter at all, so we didn't get to see any of the weird stuff. So
how
actually,
does that track normally like progress?
Previously when I've run it, there was no progression. Everything was just thrown in all at the same time.
Mm.
So there was no like sense of things getting weirder. It was just anything can happen right now depending on what me, the moderator, decide should happen to your character. But once I introduced cards, I tried to give people a choice of what like time period, because the how strange a period is linked to its place in the timeline, and that lets me like you get those history RPGs where they describe 100 years of time. That's basically what I in card format, and the cards are supposed to teach you the time period that you're playing in and the aesthetics that you're playing in. And I stole an idea from the Cerberus Club where they linked the idea of what's it called, culture shock with game aesthetics. And it makes sense to me that the more that you push, like getting superpowers, the more culture shock that the world's going to experience, from the superpowers. And then as a player, because the game aesthetics are actually changing on you, you're also feeling that culture shock. So it all like reinforces this thing. But yeah, I need to look at a way to make that advance more quickly if the players decide they want to.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like the goals of teaching role-playing game concepts and the goals of making a fun standalone game are kind of competing. I'm not sure to what degree I want to keep it as a teaching tool.
Yeah, that's a really tough balance to reach, and I totally like. You have to decide like which of these is more important, and if it's important to do both, then what are you willing to sacrifice to make that happen?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. I mean, I guess the end answer is if the players are confused, but it's worth putting up with because the rest of the game is fun, does the confusion actually diminish the experience? And I need to find a way that it doesn't.
I don't think it does.
No, I don't think it does, and I think that part of it was just my own assumptions coming into it that were not because there's like not really like a rule book I could read to tell me what these things mean. I'm going off of my assumptions and based on a brief like 2-sentence description, and you said something about superpowers being related to weird, and I was like, oh, more weird means more superpowers.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Absolutely. No, it's important because other people are going to have their first impressions with this game too. Like I intended for this game to be like a gateway drug for role playing. It's like, hey, that was a lot of fun. Well, you want to know what happens next? Then you pull out the role playing tome and the angel.
You drop off Burning Wheel.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's do it. So that's the end goal, is to be able to do that for people to sit down to play this game and be like, that was fun, but these parts were really weird. And they got like, yes, they are really weird. Would you like to know more?
Yeah.
One day.
Awesome. So thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight and playing with us. And Golden, thank you for designing this game and having the awesomeness to do it live and set everything up and play this with us today. So that was really great. Yeah. And so.
Oh, I also want to say, if there's any viewers that want to send me feedback, if you want to email me, at goldenh82@hotmail.com. I'd really love to hear what you guys have to say from watching it too.
I'm sure folks have plenty to say in our Discord channel, which would be also available. So
I'll check that.
Yeah. All right. That'll do it for us tonight. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you. I think Friday. I think I'm doing Fiasco. And stay tuned because in a couple weeks, things are going to change on my schedule because my professional stuff is changing, and I don't know what that means yet. But I imagine it's going to involve me painting, and me doing more gaming related things. So, yep, be fun. So, all right, take care, everybody.
Bye.